Beam ends. Now we're going to make our boat's beam ends, in other words, her sides. For illustration purposes, I've taken the section of the plans that represent this piece of the build and printed them out on cardstock so I can cut them out. Also, this is where we're going to use our shear stick. This is just a common wooden yardstick, the cheap kind that local politicians give away to grub votes. This one I marked with a gentle nonlinear curve, then sanded it down. It allows me to shear assorted scales of boats. I always mark my pieces for up and down, bow, or stern, because once they're cut, it's easy to get them upside down or backward or both. Now, I just cut away along the actual hull shear. But wait! Most of you don't have shipyard plans. So here's how you really do it. First, I need to give you one critical measurement. The distance from the model's keel up to the top of the main deck. That will be no less than 1 1/2 inches. We'll use it in the next video. Now, to get the length of our beams, we do not need to measure a thing. Simply note where the curve of the bow ends and where the fade begins. Place a piece of your 3 by 3/32 balsa stock against the boat's bottom edge, like this, and mark one of those points. Strike a line there. And cut along the line. I always ensure that my largest battery pack will fit inside the hull. Do that by placing a simple block of wood at the edge of the balsa stock. Put the pack down and place a scrap of balsa that represents the thickness of your stock against it. Then make a mark. In our case, that point is far less than half the width of the stock. So now we can press ahead. Find the exact center of your stock, which just happens to be 1/2 of 3 inches, or 1 1/2 inches. Mark the stock at the center point on each end and cut the sheet in half lengthwise. Now take one of those pieces and, using your shear stick, draw a line. I use a fine point rolling writer. It makes a great line that's easy to see, and it's a little easier than a pencil. The line does not have to be perfection, but it shouldn't be crappy either. Now, carefully cut along the line. Take your time. Once you have the cut, clamp the cut piece to the uncut piece and use the cut piece as a guide to draw another duplicate line. If you've been asking why I had you buy 3 sheets of balsa, this is the reason. Screw up just one of these cuts and you'll end up running back to the store to get another sheet of balsa. Next, sand and eyeball the shear until you have what you want. Remember, this sort of sanding is like trimming your own hair. You gotta know when to stop. When you unclamp the sheets, mark each for bow and down. Make sure your marks are on the inside of the hull so you don't spoil the paint on the outside. These pens will bleed through. Now test fit each beam to the boat's bottom. You'll want to bevel where the aft edge meets the fade plate to assure a watertight fit. Time for gluing and pinning. Next, we build the bow. Stay tuned.